The Galactic Concordat stood as the cornerstone of interstellar politics for millennia. Its massive central station hung in neutral space like a gleaming jewel, a sprawling metropolis of crystalline spires, kinetic architecture, and bustling diplomatic quarters that house representatives from over 300 sentient species. The station's grand assembly chamber, with its holographic displays and quantum-linked translation systems, had witnessed countless treaties, trade agreements, and occasional declarations of war throughout its ancient history. Established long before humanity's first tentative steps beyond their solar system, the Concordat operated through a complex web of councils, committees, and hierarchical voting structures that gave weight to species based on their technological development, population size, territorial holdings, and historical contributions to galactic stability. Ancient powers like the MRRNT Collective and the Solarian Ascendancy had maintained their privileged positions for thousands of years, while dozens of middle-tier civilizations vied constantly for greater influence. Power flowed through the Concordats, many chambers like an invisible current, shaped by alliances, favors owed, blackmail, and the occasional assassination discreetly arranged in the station's lower levels. The Concordat's peacekeeping fleets patrolled disputed regions. Its economic councils regulated interspecies trade, and its scientific directorates oversaw the cautious sharing of technological innovations deemed safe for widespread adoption. High Counselor Theron of the Scarth Ascendancy strode through the gleaming central promenade of Concordat Station, his scaled skin reflecting the ambient lighting in subtle blue-green iridescence. His ceremonial cloak, woven from the silk of gene-shaped arthropods from the Scarth homeworld, flowed behind him with deliberate gravitas. 4 personal aides flanked him, maintaining the precise 4-step distance mandated by Scarth hierarchical protocols. The Scarth had been among the Concordat's elite powers for over 3 millennia. Their 17 core worlds and 42 colonial systems formed a significant power block in the galactic southeastern quadrant. Their technological prowess in matter manipulation, gravitonics, and planetary engineering had earned them both respect and cautious fear from other species. Scarth architecture favored massive, mathematically perfect structures that demonstrated their mastery over materials and physics, and, not coincidentally, made their rivals feel small and primitive by comparison. Theron himself embodied the Scarth ideal: cold calculation wrapped in ceremonial politeness. His species' long lifespans, averaging 800 standard years, gave them perspective that shorter-lived species lacked. They prided themselves on their patient strategies that might unfold over decades or centuries. Their social structure revolved around elaborate hierarchies of merit, age, and accomplishment, with constant subtle competitions for status that outsiders rarely fully comprehended. The human delegation approaches, High Counselor, murmured Vress, Theron's senior aide. Theron's facial scales shifted in the subtle pattern that signified acknowledgement without enthusiasm. So they do. How very punctual of them. Ambassador Anya Sharma led the human delegation with a direct, purposeful stride that had become her trademark in Concordat circles. At 58 standard years, her salt and pepper hair was pulled back in a practical knot, and her dark eyes missed nothing. Unlike many diplomats who favored elaborate ceremonial dress, Sharma wore a simple but elegantly tailored blue suit with only a single pin, the stylized Earth and Stars emblem of the Human Confederated Systems. Beside her walked Dr. Jian Li, lead systems architect for humanity's Concordat integration projects. Younger than Sharma at 38, he moved with the slightly distracted air common to technical specialists thrown into diplomatic settings. His augmented reality contacts occasionally flickered with data only he could see as he continuously monitored developments across human space even during diplomatic functions. In the 70 standard years since first contact and humanity's subsequent invitation to join the Concordat, largely due to their surprisingly advanced artificial intelligence and cybernetic integration technologies, humans had carved out a respectable middle-tier position. Their 17 colony worlds couldn't compare to the sprawling empires of the ancient races, but their rapid adaptation, technological innovation, and diplomatic flexibility had earned them significant influence beyond their territorial holdings. High Counselor Theron, Sharma said with a precise bow calibrated to show respect without deference. Thank you for agreeing to this preliminary discussion before the full council session. Theron's head dipped in the minimal acknowledgement his status permitted. Ambassador Sharma, I trust your accommodations are adequate. The question was purely ceremonial, the standard opening gambit in Skarth conversational protocol. More than adequate. Thank you. The environmental calibrations for Earth standard humidity are much improved since our last visit. Sharma seamlessly navigated the expected response before pivoting to substance. I believe we both recognize the significance of tomorrow's council decision regarding Kepler 186F. A flicker of something, annoyance perhaps, crossed Theron's features before his diplomatic mask reasserted itself. Humans had an irritating tendency to bypass conversational formalities. Indeed, Theron replied. The Kepler system presents unique opportunities. 5 potentially habitable worlds in a single system is unusual. The Skarth have maintained observational outposts in the system for over 2 centuries, as you know. As have we for the past 60 years, Sharma countered smoothly. Our preliminary terraforming assessments indicate Kepler 186F could sustain both our species with minimal adaptation. The Kepler 186F system had become the focus of intense diplomatic maneuvering over the past 5 standard years. Located in a strategically valuable region between major trade routes, its unique stability and multiple habitable planets made it the most desirable unclaimed territory to come under Concordat jurisdiction in centuries. Both humanity and the Skarth had submitted formal claims based on their exploratory histories, and after years of debate, the Concordat's colonial authority had made an unprecedented ruling, a mandated joint development initiative between the 2 competing claimants. The Concordat's decision for a joint colonization project is innovative, Theron said, the slight hesitation revealing his true feelings about sharing the prize. The Kepler Harmony Project will be a significant undertaking. Innovation is something we humans excel at. Dr. Lee spoke up, his voice carrying the quiet confidence of a specialist among generalists. Our AI integration systems are well suited to coordinating the complex logistics of multi-species colonization. Theron's gaze shifted to Lee, his vertical pupils contracting slightly. Yes, your artificial intelligence systems are quite advanced for your species' development stage. The Skarth approach to colonization has been refined over thousands of years. However, our atmospheric processors and gravitational stabilization technologies will form the backbone of any successful terraforming effort, which is precisely why a combined approach makes sense, Sharma interjected. Our strengths complement each other. Indeed, Theron agreed, though his aides exchanged glances that suggested otherwise. We look forward to sharing our expertise with your people. Later, as Theron and his entourage departed, Dr. Lee leaned towards Sharma. He doesn't think much of our capabilities. Sharma's lips curved in a slight smile. No, he doesn't. That's potentially useful. How so? People who underestimate you rarely see you coming. 6 months later, the Kepler Harmony project was underway. The system buzzed with construction vessels, survey ships, and a framework of what would eventually become a thriving multi-species colony. At the center of human operations hung Waypoint Station, a modular, rapidly assembled structure that resembled a high-tech snowflake with its radiating arms and central hub. Its adaptive architecture allowed for continuous expansion as new modules arrived from human space. Dr. Lee stood in Waypoint's Central Operations Center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the status of dozens of simultaneous construction and survey projects. The station's AI, nicknamed Harmony for the project, coordinated the complex dance of robotic constructors, human crews, and interfaced with the Skarth systems with impressive efficiency. The atmospheric processors on 186F are coming online ahead of schedule, reported technician Maya Wong, one of Lee's most trusted team members. But we're still waiting on permits from the Scarth Regulatory Office to begin water reclamation in the Northern Basin. Lee frowned. That's the third project delayed this month due to Scarth administrative review. Send a formal inquiry through diplomatic channels, but also have Harmony analyze the permit application protocols. There may be procedural avenues we're not utilizing correctly. The Scarth approach to the joint project had been frustratingly inconsistent. Their engineering work was undeniably impressive. The massive orbital platforms they had constructed for atmospheric modification loomed over Kepler, 186F like artificial moons, and their gravitational stabilization networks had already measurably improved the planet's axial tilt for optimal climate control. But their bureaucratic processes seemed deliberately designed to delay human initiatives while fast-tracking their own. Across the system, the Scarth flagship dominant Equilibrium served as both command center and display of Scarth technological superiority. The massive vessel, more space station than ship, housed the primary Scarth coordination networks and the senior administrative staff overseeing their side of the project. Its perfect geometric proportions and seamless construction spoke to the Scarth mastery of materials and structural engineering. High Counselor Theron had taken personal command of the Scarth effort, an unusual step that underscored the project's importance to Scarth interests. From his command chamber aboard the dominant Equilibrium, he reviewed the latest status reports with senior administrator Velex. The humans continue to exceed expected construction parameters on their waypoint station, Velex noted, a hint of reluctant admiration in her tone. Their modular approach lacks elegance, but its efficiency is notable. Efficiency without proper foundation is merely haste, Theron replied dismissively. Their station lacks proper defensive hardening, and their power distribution network is vulnerable to solar fluctuations. They build quickly because they lack the patience for proper engineering. Their artificial intelligence coordination is impressive, Velex continued. The system they call Harmony has adapted to our communication protocols more rapidly than anticipated. Theron's scales shifted in the pattern, denoting thoughtful consideration. Yes, their AI technology is the one area where they have genuinely surprised us. It is adaptable in ways our systems are not. He turned to face his administrator directly, which makes our proposal all the more reasonable. A gesture of cooperation, the integration of our command networks with their AI system for the good of the project. The humans will be suspicious of such generosity, Velex cautioned. Of course they will, Theron agreed. But they're also predictably eager to prove themselves as worthy partners. Their ambassador Sharma is cautious, but their technical specialist, Dr. Lee, will find the opportunity too intriguing to reject completely. 3 days later, in Waypoint Station's diplomatic conference room, Theron presented his proposal to the human leadership team. The room's adaptive environmental systems had created a compromise atmosphere and temperature that was tolerable, if not entirely comfortable, for both species. The Kepler Harmony project has reached a critical juncture, Theron began, his translator rendering his complex Scarth vocalizations into smooth, accentless standard English. Our separate systems function adequately in parallel, but true efficiency requires deeper integration. Ambassador Sharma watched the Scarth diplomat with careful neutrality. What specifically are you proposing, High Counselor? A direct interface between your Harmony AI and our primary planetary command network, Theron said, gesturing to a holographic display that materialized above the conference table. Our engineers have designed an integration protocol that would allow seamless coordination between our atmospheric processors, gravitational stabilizers, and your terraforming systems. The efficiency gains would be substantial. Dr. Lee studied the technical specifications with undisguised interest. You're proposing a much deeper systems integration than anything covered in our original agreement. This would give each side unprecedented access to the other's core technologies. Precisely, Theron agreed, his scales shifting in what humans had come to recognize as the Scarth expression of pleased confidence. It is a significant step toward true partnership. We are offering your technical team access to integration libraries normally restricted to Scarth worlds alone. Sharma's expression remained carefully neutral. This is certainly an unexpected proposal, High Counselor. We'll need time to consult with Earth High Command. Of course, Theron inclined his head graciously. We understand the significance of such a decision. The Scarth value careful deliberation. After the Scarth delegation departed, Sharma turned to Lee. Your assessment? Lee's eyes still flickered with the augmented reality displays, analyzing the Scarth technical specifications. It's an extraordinary offer on the surface. Their command network architecture is typically classified at the highest levels. The integration would significantly enhance our control systems for terraforming. And the risks? Sharma pressed. Substantial, Lee admitted. Any deep integration creates potential security vulnerabilities on both sides. Their systems would have unprecedented access to Harmony's core functions, and by extension, much of our operation here. Why now? Sharma mused. The Scarth aren't known for spontaneous generosity. They've been observing our AI capabilities. Lee suggested they may genuinely see advantages in integration. Or they see an opportunity we don't yet recognize. Sharma finished. Prepare a detailed risk assessment. I'll contact Earth High Command. 3 weeks later, Earth High Command issued its decision. The integration would proceed, but with additional security measures implemented under the classified directive Project Watchtower. Dr. Lee was authorized to embed specialized monitoring and isolation protocols within Harmony's core systems before beginning the integration process. Watchtower will act as an invisible monitoring layer. Lee explained to his core team in a secure conference room, all external communications disabled. It will track all data flows between our systems and theirs, analyzing patterns and flagging anomalies. Most importantly, it will maintain hidden emergency partitions that can instantly sever connections while preserving our core functionality. Why approve the integration at all if we're this suspicious? Asked Wong. 2 reasons, Lee replied. First, the potential benefits are genuine. If this is a sincere offer, the efficiency gains could advance the project by years. Second, and perhaps more importantly, this gives us unprecedented access to Scarth network architecture. That alone is intelligence worth having. And Earth High Command authorized this. Backdoor monitoring? Another team member asked. Linudda grimly. Not only authorized, but insisted upon it. The directive came with the highest security classification I've ever seen. Whatever's happening here, it's being taken very seriously at the highest levels. The integration process began the following month. Scarth technical specialists arrived on Waypoint Station, bringing with them complex integration modules and security protocols. Dr. Lee and his team worked alongside them, learning the intricacies of Scarth network architecture while carefully implementing the invisible Watchtower monitoring systems beneath layers of standard security code. The process was revealing in unexpected ways. The Scarth systems were undeniably powerful. Their quantum processing cores operated at efficiency levels human technology couldn't match. Yet their network architecture showed surprising rigidity. Where human AI systems evolved and adapted continuously, Scarth systems relied on precise, predetermined pathways with extensive fail-safes and redundancies. More curiously, Lee's team discovered numerous legacy subsystems and unused code branches in the Scarth architecture, artifacts of development abandoned centuries ago but never fully removed. These provided convenient shadows in which to hide the Watchtower monitoring tendrils, invisible unless someone specifically knew to look for them. The Scarth technical lead, a senior engineer named Merrill, seemed particularly intent on directing the human team towards certain integration pathways while discouraging exploration of others. This subsystem is legacy architecture, she explained when Wong began examining a particularly complex node cluster. It would be inefficient to integrate through these pathways. Lee noted these redirections with increasing suspicion, ensuring Watchtower maintained particular vigilance on areas the Scarth seemed intent on keeping the humans away from. 3 months into the integration process, Watchtower began flagging concerning patterns. Hidden data channels were detected, transmitting encrypted information bursts at irregular intervals. Logic probes from the Scarth network tested Harmony's security boundaries in ways not documented in the integration protocols. Resource allocations for human Terraform initiatives experienced random failures at statistically improbable rates. "Something's happening," Lee told Sharma in her secure office. "Watchtower has identified multiple anomalous patterns. The Scarth network is probing our systems far beyond what's needed for integration." Sharma studied the data with a deep frown. "Evidence of hostile intent. Not definitively," Lee admitted, "but the pattern suggests systematic mapping of our vulnerabilities. They're building a comprehensive understanding of exactly how our systems function and where they could be compromised. Options: we could halt the integration, cite technical incompatibilities," Lee suggested. "But that would alert them that we've detected something unusual." "Continue as planned," Sharma decided after a moment. "But enhance Watchtower's monitoring and ensure all critical systems have emergency isolation protocols. And notify Earth High Command of our concerns." The response from Earth was immediate and alarming. Additional security specialists were dispatched to Waypoint Station under the cover of routine personnel rotation. Emergency evacuation protocols were quietly updated. Most significantly, a classified communiqué informed Sharma that a contingent of a strategic deterrence fleet had been dispatched to a holding position just outside the Kepler system. Information so classified, even she was not told their exact location or capabilities. The integration proceeded for another 2 months without incident. The combined network systems showed impressive results. Terraforming progress accelerated, resource allocation improved, and coordination between human and Scarth engineering teams reached unprecedented efficiency. The success was touted in Concordat reports as a model for future multi-species projects. Then came the solar storm. Alarms blared throughout Waypoint Station as sensor arrays detected a massive coronal ejection from Kepler 186, the system's primary star. The unexpected stellar event sent radiation and charged particles streaming toward the inhabited planets at near-light speed. "Emergency protocols engaged," announced Harmony's comm voice throughout the station. "Radiation shielding at maximum. All personnel report to designated safety areas." In the operations center, chaos reigned as systems responded to the crisis. Dr. Lee and his team worked frantically to coordinate with the planetary outposts and orbital facilities. "The Scarth atmospheric platforms are directly in the path of the leading edge," reported Wong. "Their shielding systems are showing fluctuations." A priority communication channel opened, displaying High Counselor Theron's image. "Waypoint Station, our primary defense network, is experiencing critical instability due to radiation interference. We are implementing emergency protocols but require immediate assistance." "What kind of assistance?" Lee asked, suspicion immediately flaring. "Our backup control systems must interface directly with your Harmony core," Theron explained, his normally composed demeanor showing calculated signs of stress. "We need priority override access to stabilize the planetary defense grid before the main wave hits. Without it, both our atmospheric processors and your ground facilities will suffer catastrophic damage." Emergency authorization codes from the Scarth Command Network began streaming into Waypoint systems. Warning indicators flashed across Lee's displays as Harmony security protocols flagged the unprecedented access requests. "This request exceeds integration parameters," Lee stated flatly. "Our systems can provide support without requiring core access." "There is no time for alternatives," Theron insisted. "The radiation surge will hit in 17 minutes. Without synchronized defensive measures, damages will be severe." Lee hesitated, exchanging glances with Wong. Something felt wrong. The solar activity was real. Sensors confirmed it, but the Scarth response seemed disproportionate to the threat. "Implementing alternative support protocol Delta," Lee decided, activating a predetermined emergency response that would provide assistance without compromising core security. This will stabilize your defense grid without requiring direct access to our systems. Theron's expression hardened momentarily before his diplomatic mask reasserted itself. Very well. We hope your alternative will be sufficient. The communication ended, but the sense of wrongness persisted. Lee activated a secure channel to Ambassador Sharma. The Scarth just attempted to gain emergency access to Harmony's core systems. I've implemented Delta Protocol instead, but something doesn't add up. Watchtower status? Sharma asked tersely. Lee checked the classified monitoring program alerts. What he saw sent ice through his veins. Multiple infiltration attempts detected across all security layers. They're attempting to bypass our firewalls through the emergency support channels. Lock everything down, Sharma ordered. Now! Before Lee could respond, Waypoint Station shuddered violently. Emergency lights flashed as primary power fluctuated. Unauthorized access detected. Harmony's voice announced, now tinged with an artificial stress that indicated highest-level alerts. Critical system compromise in progress. Emergency isolation protocols failing. Across Lee's security displays, firewalls fell one after another as an incredibly sophisticated attack package, far beyond what should have been possible through the limited integration channels, tore through Harmony's defenses. The attack had clearly been prepared long in advance, with intimate knowledge of the AI's architecture that could only have been gathered through months of careful reconnaissance during the integration process. They've been planning this from the beginning, Lee realized aloud. The integration proposal, the cooperation, it was all to gain access to our systems. On the primary display, a new alert appeared. Scarth military vessels decloaking throughout the Kepler system. Not scientific or engineering ships. Warships with weapons powered and targeting systems active. All personnel, this is Ambassador Sharma. Came a station-wide announcement. Implement. Security Protocol Obsidian. This is not a drill. Repeat. Implement Obsidian immediately. Obsidian was the highest-level security protocol. The emergency response to confirmed hostile action against a human installation. Throughout the station, security teams moved to predetermined positions. Weapons were distributed from secure lockers, and critical data began purging from vulnerable systems. In the operations center, Lee fought desperately to contain this Scarth attack package. Now identified by Harmony as Serpent's Coil, a sophisticated logic bomb designed to overwrite the AI's core functions and transfer control to Scarth command systems. The malware spread through subsystems with frightening speed, disabling life support, weapons, and communications in sequence. I can't stop it, Lee admitted as another firewall fell. It's too deeply integrated. They've been mapping our systems for months. Watchtower, Wong asked. Lee's expression hardened. Watchtower is still operational. They don't know about it. He entered a complex authorization code, activating Watchtower's emergency protocols. Begin data compilation and transmission. Authorization Lee Alpha 70. As the Scarth malware continued its relentless advance through Waypoint systems, Watchtower executed its final directive. Deep within Harmony's quantum core, protected by security measures hidden from even routine internal scans, the monitoring program compiled its months of surveillance. Every suspicious data flow, every unauthorized probe, the complete architecture of Serpent Coil, Theron's hidden communications planning the takeover, and sensor logs of the Scarth military buildup hidden throughout the system. The data package, compressed and encrypted with Earth High Command's quantum keys, was transmitted via a specially designed quantum entangled communications array, a technology the Scarth didn't know humans possessed. The transmission was virtually undetectable, using principles of quantum teleportation to instantaneously transfer the data to a paired receiver nearly 20 light-years away. As the last of the data transmitted, life support systems throughout Waypoint Station began to fail. Emergency doors sealed, trapping human personnel in sections where atmosphere was rapidly depleting. Defense systems turned on their operators. The station was dying, its electronic brain being rewritten by the Scarth attack. In the Concordat Grand Assembly, High Counselor Theron addressed the gathered representatives with grave concern in his carefully modulated voice. Behind him, dramatic holographic displays showed Waypoint Station surrounded by Scarth vessels. It is with great regret that I must report a catastrophic security incident in the Kepler Harmony project, he announced to the stunned assembly. Evidence has emerged that human artificial intelligence systems on Waypoint Station attempted unauthorized access to critical Scarth terraforming networks, access that could have resulted in planetary-scale damage. Murmurs spread through the assembly as representatives of dozens of species consulted with aides and each other. AI security was a sensitive topic in Concordat politics, with strict regulations governing autonomous systems. Fortunately, Theron continued, our security protocols detected the intrusion attempt. When confronted, the human AI initiated aggressive countermeasures, forcing us to implement emergency containment procedures. Scarth security forces have secured the Kepler system to prevent further incidents while a full investigation is conducted. He gestured, and fabricated logs appeared on the assembly's displays, showing what appeared to be human systems attempting to override Scarth's security protocols. The logs were sophisticated forgeries, created over months of careful study of human network architecture. These human systems exceeded their authorized parameters and represented an imminent threat to Concordat's safety protocols, Theron concluded. The Scarth Ascendancy acted in accordance with Concordat security directives to neutralize the threat. We request an emergency session of the Security Council to address this grave violation of AI containment regulations. The Assembly erupted in alarmed discussion. Incidents involving rogue AI were rare, but greatly feared among many Concordat species. The Scarth had carefully played to these fears, knowing that many would be predisposed to believe the worst. What Theron didn't know was that at that exact moment, 20 light-years away, Earth High Command was receiving Watchtower's final transmission. In a secure command center deep beneath the Eurasian continent, Admiral Eris Thorne stood motionless as the full data package was analyzed and verified by multiple independent systems. Thorne was a legend in human space, a veteran of the brief but brutal First Contact War with the Drex hegemony, architect of humanity's defensive doctrine and the driving force behind the classified strategic deterrence fleet. His weathered face revealed nothing as the analysis completed, but those who knew him recognized the dangerous stillness that had fallen over him. Verification complete, announced the command center's AI. Data package authenticity confirmed at 99.97% probability. Evidence indicates premeditated hostile action by Scarth Ascendancy leadership against human assets with high probability of deliberate intent to cause loss of human life. Admiral Thorne was silent for a long moment, his gray eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the situation in the Kepler system. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet but carried throughout the hushed command center. Initiate condition zero sum. The words sent a chill through the room. Zero sum was not merely a defensive protocol, but a pre-authorized, galaxy-wide retaliatory doctrine against any power confirmed to have committed strategic-level betrayal threatening existential risk to human interests. It had been established after the Drex War, but never implemented. Until now, throughout human space, classified communications flashed to hidden installations and fleets that officially didn't exist. In deep space hangars, vessels unlike any publicly acknowledged by Earth High Command powered up advanced drive systems. These ships, sleeker, darker, and far more heavily armed than standard human military vessels, had been developed in absolute secrecy, incorporating technologies reverse-engineered from multiple alien sources and enhanced by human innovation. What made them truly formidable, however, wasn't their firepower but their tactical capabilities. They carried dimension-phasing cloaking systems that rendered them not merely invisible but partially out of phase with normal spacetime. Their weapons included causality-manipulating energy projectors designed to unravel complex systems without conventional destruction. Their FDL drives used principles that allowed for precision jumps far beyond standard navigation limitations. This was the Strategic Deterrence Fleet, humanity's ultimate insurance policy against existential threats. Its existence was known to fewer than 200 people across human space. Its ships had never been deployed in combat. Until today. In 17 key locations across Scarth space, their homeworld, core colony systems, major fleet anchorages, and the Kepler system itself, the impossible occurred simultaneously. Space seemed to ripple as the human vessels phased fully into normal space-time, appearing without warning past all detection systems, already in optimal strike positions. There were no ultimatums, no warnings. Admiral Thorne had activated Zero Sum's first phase, blindness. Targeted causality pulses struck Scarth long-range sensors, FTL communication relays, and strategic command networks. The weapons didn't destroy these facilities in the conventional sense. They selectively unraveled the causal relationships between components, rendering complex systems non-functional in ways that would be nearly impossible to repair. Throughout Scarth space, their eyes and ears went dark simultaneously. In the Kepler system, aboard the dominant Equilibrium, High Counselor Theron received increasingly frantic reports as communications with Scarth space failed across all channels. Impossible, he hissed, scales flaring in alarm. Check the backup quantum entanglement communicators. All channels are non-responsive, High Counselor, reported a communications officer. We are detecting unusual energy signatures throughout the system, but sensors cannot identify the source. Before Theron could respond, Phase 2 of Zero Sum activated, paralysis. The Scarth warships surrounding Waypoint Station suddenly lost power. Weapons systems dissolved into component atoms without damaging surrounding structures. Engine cores went cold. Command systems scrambled beyond recognition. The massive vessels drifted helplessly, their crews trapped inside but unharmed. On the dominant Equilibrium itself, critical systems began failing in sequence. Not life support or artificial gravity. The human attack precisely targeted only military and command capabilities, carefully avoiding casualties while rendering the Scarth completely helpless. Throughout Scarth space, the pattern repeated. Orbital defense platforms neutralized. Military command centers isolated. Industrial facilities powering their war machine disconnected from power grids. And in each location, a human strategic deterrence vessel materialized, visible now, weapons trained on their helpless targets. Phase 3 began, liberation and judgment. At Kepler, a specialized team from the human vessel Retribution boarded Waypoint Station. Using override codes embedded by Dr. Lee during the initial construction, they bypassed the compromised systems and restored human control, neutralizing Serpent's coil and reactivating life support for the trapped personnel. Simultaneously, another team boarded the dominant Equilibrium, encountering no resistance from the Scarth crew. High Counselor Theron was located in the command center, still trying desperately to understand what was happening to his forces throughout Scarth space. The human boarding team, clad in advanced combat armor unlike anything the Scarth had seen before, entered the command center without firing a shot. Their leader, Commander Sarah Reese, approached Theron directly. High Counselor Theron of the Scarth Ascendancy, she stated formally, by authority of Earth High Command under Condition Zero Sum, you are remanded to human custody pending Concordat Tribunal for acts of premeditated aggression and attempted mass casualty against human personnel. Theron's scales flattened in shock. This is an act of war, he managed to say. The Concordat has been provided with complete evidence of your planned betrayal. Reese interrupted. Every communication, every line of your attack code, every military vessel you positioned in violation of the Joint Development Agreement. We knew what you were planning from the moment you proposed the integration. Impossible, Theron whispered. Your systems were compromised. Your defenses neutralized. What you saw was what we allowed you to see. Reese replied coldly. Watchtower was watching you the entire time. As Theron was taken into custody, Commander Reese activated a holographic display showing the current status of Scarth space. Theron's vertical pupils widened in shock as he saw the full scope of humanity's response. His entire civilization's military and command infrastructure neutralized simultaneously, with precision and efficiency that should have been impossible. "What? What are you?" he asked, genuine fear breaking through his diplomatic facade for the first time. Reese regarded him coldly. "We are the consequence of betrayal, Counselor. You should have studied our history more carefully before deciding we would make an easy target." In an emergency session of the Concordat Grand Assembly, the normal protocols and speaking order were abandoned as representatives demanded information about the unprecedented events unfolding across Scarth space. Reports flooded in of Scarth military assets neutralized, command structures disabled, and key leadership figures taken into custody. Into this chaos strode Ambassador Sharma, now accompanied by a contingent of human military personnel in formal dress uniforms. The assembly fell silent as she took the central speaking position. Honored representatives of the Concordat, she began, her voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. Several hours ago, High Counselor Theron addressed this assembly with claims of human aggression in the Kepler system. Those claims were not merely false. They were a deliberate cover for what we now confirm was a premeditated act of war against human interests. She gestured, and holographic displays activated throughout the chamber, showing the authentic data compiled by Watchtower. Communications between Theron and Scarth Military Command planning the takeover, the complete architecture of the Serpent Coil attack package, sensor logs of cloaked Scarth military vessels positioning themselves throughout the system over the previous months. The Scarth Ascendancy, under High Counselor Theron's direct authorization, attempted to seize control of all human assets in the Kepler system, endangering the lives of over 12,000 human personnel, Sharma continued. This was not a misunderstanding or a security incident. It was a calculated act of betrayal disguised as cooperation. The assembly erupted in shocked discussion, representatives conferring urgently with aides as they reviewed the evidence. Unlike Theron's fabricated logs, the Watchtower data included quantum verification timestamps and authentication codes that even the most skeptical could not dismiss. In response to this confirmed existential threat, Sharma continued when the noise subsided. Earth High Command activated Condition Zero Sum, our ultimate response to strategic betrayal. I must now explain what this means for the Concordat. She stepped forward, her expression grave but resolute. Condition Zero Sum is not a conventional military response. It is the permanent, strategic dismantling of a confirmed aggressor's capacity to ever pose such a threat again. In this instance, we have neutralized the Scarth military and command infrastructure while deliberately minimizing civilian casualties. The assembly screens showed real-time footage from across Scarth space. Military vessels drifting powerless, command centers under human control, defense systems neutralized. The scale and precision of the human response was staggering, particularly from a species many had considered a minor power just hours earlier. The human confederated systems does not seek territorial expansion or conquest, Sharma continued. What we do seek is absolute security against existential threats. The Scarth leadership gambled that we would be an easy target, that our technology, our resolve, or our capability for response would be insufficient. They were wrong. AMRRNT Elder, one of the most respected voices in the assembly, rose to speak. Ambassador Sharma, the scale of this response is unprecedented. While the evidence of Scarth aggression appears compelling, many would view such a comprehensive neutralization as disproportionate. With respect, Elder, Sharma replied, proportionality applies to conventional conflicts where both sides acknowledge limits. The Scarth plan included the potential deaths of thousands of human citizens and the seizure of our most advanced technologies. Had they succeeded, they would have gained capabilities that could threaten not just our Kepler outpost, but potentially all human worlds. She gestured to the displays again. Condition Zero Sum is designed specifically to eliminate existential threats while minimizing loss of life. We have deliberately avoided targeting civilian infrastructure or causing mass casualties. We have not destroyed the Scarth civilization. We have removed its capacity to threaten others on a strategic scale. The Solarian representative, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate mechanical shell, moved forward. What does humanity intend now? The power vacuum in Scarth space will create significant instability throughout the quadrant. We propose the immediate establishment of a Concordat Oversight Committee to supervise the restructuring of Scarth governance, Sharma answered. High Counselor Theron and his senior conspirators will face justice before a Concordat tribunal with full disclosure of evidence. The Scarth people themselves will determine their new leadership under Concordat observation to ensure a peaceful transition. As the Assembly processed these proposals, the strategic reality was settling in across the chamber. Species that had dismissed humanity as newcomers of moderate significance were hastily reassessing. Alliance calculations that had been stable for centuries shifted in real time as representatives recognized the implications of what they had witnessed. One final point, Sharma said, her voice cutting through the murmurs. Humanity offers friendship, cooperation, and mutual benefit to all species of the Concordat. The Kepler Harmony Project was a genuine attempt at collaborative development, an attempt we still hope to pursue with partners who share our commitment to honesty and mutual respect. Her expression hardened slightly. But let today stand as a clear message. Betrayal of human trust at a strategic level triggers condition zero-sum without exception or hesitation. We fervently hope never to implement these measures again, but we will not hesitate if forced to do so. The Assembly session continued for hours, emergency committees forming to address the unprecedented situation. Throughout the Concordat, the news spread rapidly. The Scarth ascendancy, a major power for millennia, had been neutralized in a single, coordinated action by the humans, a species most had considered a middle-tier power at best. Diplomatic channels across the galaxy hummed with urgent communications. Species that had harbored thoughts of testing human boundaries hastily re-evaluated their strategies. Others sought to strengthen ties with this suddenly formidable power. The balance of Concordat politics had shifted irrevocably in a single day. 3 days later, on the partially restored Waypoint Station, Dr. Lee supervised the final security sweeps of the core systems. The damage from Serpent's Coil had been extensive, but human engineering teams had worked around the clock to restore critical functions. Most of the station personnel had survived thanks to emergency protocols and the timeliness of the zero-sum response, though dozens remained in medical care for injuries sustained during the attack. Harmony's core functions are back online at 87% capacity, reported Technician Wong, looking exhausted but satisfied. The last traces of the Scarth malware have been purged. Linudda Aqualitirat. Good work. Schedule a complete security audit before we bring the final subsystems back online. We're rebuilding from the foundation this time. No shortcuts. Ambassador Sharma entered the operations center, accompanied by a tall figure in the formal black uniform of Earth High Command senior leadership. Admiral Thorne rarely left Earth, and his presence on Waypoint Station underscored the gravity with which Earth viewed the situation. Dr. Lee, Sharma greeted him. Admiral Thorne requested a first-hand assessment of our recovery efforts. Listrastanat respectfully. Thorne's reputation preceded him, the architect of humanity's defensive doctrine and, as Lee now knew, the commander of the strategic deterrence fleet that had executed Condition Zero-Sum. Admiral, we're making good progress, though full restoration will take several weeks. Thorne nodded, his weathered face revealing little. Your Watchtower program performed exactly as intended, Doctor. The intelligence it gathered was instrumental to the success of Zero-Sum. I never imagined it would be needed for such a purpose, Lee admitted. When we designed it as a monitoring system, the idea that the Scarth would attempt something so foolish, Thorne suggested. Perhaps, but betrayal often comes from miscalculation rather than malice. The Scarth believed they understood human capabilities based on what we publicly demonstrated. A common mistake. The Admiral moved to the viewport, overlooking the Kepler system. In the distance, Scarth vessels remained under human control, their once imposing presence now a testament to miscalculation. Ambassador Sharma has been appointed to the Concordat Oversight Committee for Scarth Reconstruction, Thorne continued. The tribunal for High Counselor Theron begins next week. The evidence is conclusive. And the Kepler Harmony Project? Lee asked. Will it continue? Yes, though with modified parameters, Sharma answered. The Concordat has approved direct human administration of the project, with oversight from neutral species rather than Scarth involvement. Thorne turned from the viewport, his gray eyes meeting Lee's. Zero-sum is a weapon we pray never to use again, Doctor. Its existence is now known, but its full capabilities remain classified. Let the galaxy understand. Friendship and cooperation are offered freely, but betrayal signs your own death warrant. As Admiral Thorne departed, Lee returned to the Operations Center's main console, where Harmony's systems continued their recovery. The AI's avatar, a simple blue sphere pulsing gently with each processing cycle, appeared on the main display. Dr. Lee, I have completed the security diagnostics you requested, Harmony reported. All systems are functioning within acceptable parameters. Thank you, Harmony, Lee replied, studying the readouts. The station would recover. The project would continue. But something fundamental had changed, not just in the Kepler system, but throughout the Concordat. Humanity had revealed itself not as the idealistic newcomers many had assumed, but as a species with depths, contingencies, and resolve that few had suspected. The Scarth had believed they were springing a trap on an unwary prey, only to discover too late that they themselves had been ensnared by a predator of far greater patience and capability. As Waypoint Station continued its repairs, and the human confederated systems adjusted to its new position in Concordat politics, one truth became clear throughout civilized space. Underestimating humanity was not merely a diplomatic miscalculation. It was potentially an existential one. In the great assembly chamber of the Concordat, the Scarth emblem, once prominently displayed among the major powers, had been relocated to a more modest position, while the simple Earth and stars of the human confederated systems now hung in a place of unmistakable prominence. The message was understood by all without need for translation. Betrayal carries consequences, and some lessons are learned only once.